Intermountain Power Agency remained on solid financial footing during the fiscal year that ended June 30, 2020. The statements of net position at the end of the fiscal year totaled just under $1.2 billion, of which $226 million were in cash and investments and $82 million in inventories. $135 million was recorded in 2020 to recognize additional liabilities associated with asset retirement obligations, bringing the total of such obligations to just under $260 million. This balance recognizes obligations arising from applicable laws and regulations principally related to the decommissioning and retirement of existing coal properties and facilities that will no longer become useful when they are retired in 2025. The retirement actions and related costs are pursuant to a retirement plan adopted by the Coordinating Committee and the IPA Board of Directors in 2019. At the end of the fiscal year, IPA's remaining outstanding debt totaled approximately $481 million, all of which is non-callable prior to maturity. As of July 1, 2020, only $118 million of the outstanding bonds are publicly held, and the balance is comprised of subordinated notes payable to two California purchasers. Under a prepayment agreement, these California purchasers exercised their option to satisfy in advance a portion of their future debt-related cost obligations. Just over $221 million of fiscal 2020 IPA revenues were used to pay scheduled debt principal maturities. Since inception, IPA has repaid approximately $4.7 billion of its debt obligations. IPA maintains a reserve titled the Bond Retirement and Financing Account, also known as BRFA, that is designated for retiring outstanding bonds or paying other approved financing expenses. A portion of this reserve will be used to pay for a part of IPA's debt service payment on July 1, 2021. After that payment is made, only $38.8 million of publicly held debt will remain outstanding. At that point, funds held in the BRFA will adequately provide for the debt service of the outstanding publicly held debt through the final maturities in 2023. Debt service for the remaining subordinated notes payable will continue to be provided by power billings through the final maturities of the notes in 2023. By the time IPA's annual meeting convenes in 2023, the debt incurred by IPA in the early 1980s to finance the project will be completely repaid. Weighted average borrowing cost on publicly held debt for the fiscal year was 3.59%. The IPA bond ratings remained very good, with Moody's at A1, Standard & Poor's at A+, and Fitch at AA-. The net revenues, or cost of combined electricity and transmission, for the year ended June 30, 2020, was $555 million. The average power cost to the purchasers was approximately 81 mils per kilowatt hour. The power cost increase over previous years was anticipated and budgeted to provide for higher scheduled debt principal payments and necessary expenses related to power plant operations at reduced capacity factors. Under the power sales contracts, IPA is required to adopt an annual budget not less than 30 nor more than 45 days prior to the beginning of each fiscal year. Budgeted revenues for fiscal year 2021 are $621 million based upon a 55% capacity factor. This budget provides for debt service, renewals and replacements, taxes and in lieu payments, and operations and maintenance. Budgeted revenues provided in the preliminary budget for fiscal year 2022 is $460 million, also based on a 55% capacity factor. The reduction in the 2022 preliminary budget from the 2021 budget is principally related to the reduced requirement for debt service. Intermountain Power Agency's 2020 annual report and other financial information can be accessed on the IPA website at www.ipautah.com.